Um, you've moved on to college athletics, and I do want to throw in you also have a teaching background, much like myself. So, you've got a couple teaching minds, we'll put it that way, and I think sometimes that affects the framework at which you come from. If you ever see a coach, especially in high school sports, who doesn't teach but they coach, usually you can tell by how they handle situations. And then, like, you get someone with a teaching background, usually they're better at, like, for example, structuring things or uh, giving clear instructions and communication to what they want. So, with that kind of in mind, how has getting into the college football game been?
So, as much as I did the high school thing for a couple of years, and it's not my passion. That's football. So, but I would say you'll see in most levels, guys that have been high school coaches where they're teachers do a really good job when they get to the college level, because they like the things that they do in every day in a classroom reflects the same thing as on the field. Like you're talking about classroom management. What you're talking, like you were saying, is basically what classroom management is. So now I just translate it over to when I'm in practice or I'm in a meeting or whatever it is. And that's and just when we did it at the strength conditioning for Mountain Ridge, it's the same thing. We had to go to the bare basics of what we had to do. And it's just like teaching. You don't teach chapter 6 until you get through 1 through 5. So it was the same idea. And you learn different ways to structure it, and you deal with the kids in the same way of, okay, they're different today. Like that's not Jimmy today. He's upset or whatever. So it can affect him in that way. And it's the same thing when I come into my meeting rooms and stuff. Like I said in the spring, our coach is like, we're not going to move on with any other coverages until you're comfortable with our guys are doing the right thing right now. And it took us probably longer than it should have, but they needed time. So like we went to the bare basics of what we're going to do. And one thing I always do, it's kind of like, you have like when you warm up in the classroom, you always have something for them to do right out of the gate. We've got an everyday drill. It's kind of the same ideas. We're going to get you ready for these angles that we're going to take for defensive backs and stuff. It's kind of the same idea. But for sure, being a teacher has helped me be a better coach. Better sudden change. Something's going to be different. You have the greatest lesson ever. Someone's going to hate it. So you got to figure out how to get it in their brain to like it or learn from it, whatever. Or you said, I have 5 great activities today. Well, I got 25 minutes left of class. You got to figure out, you got to be a sudden change all the time. And it kind of reflects in football the same way. Is like, yeah, like I just got through all my indie periods in 20 minutes. I got to figure out something for 10 more minutes, things like that. And for sure, being a teacher would help me a lot become a better coach. And because when I first started coaching, it was the same mentality of, we're going to be tough. We're going to be all these things. And, the kids don't respond that the same way too. That's another thing that helps you is like in your classroom, you realize they don't respond the same way that you and I did. Like someone yelled at us at practice back in the day. It's like, okay, well, I just got yelled at, whatever. Nah, you can't always yell at every kid. They don't always take it that way. And they don't always love it. They'll sometimes be angry at you and not want to listen, but it's a little bit different. They don't always respond that way now. So just taking my lessons that I learned as a teacher and just applying it on the field. And it's the same thing. You're teaching. It's like a fit ed teacher. They're a teacher. They teach, physical education. It's the same spiel. It's just we now do it on a practice field and we play games. Like it's the same concept.
Yeah. What are some of the lessons that you would say, like, as a coach, and I know you've also coached other powerlifters before, which I do want to get into that, but like, what do you hope your players take away from a football season? Because, not everyone's going to walk off, and let's be honest, most people won't walk off and join the NFL, or get paid. And that's totally okay, but they have to understand football's going to come to an end. Just like as powerlifters, we understand, hey, this isn't going to go on forever. The music stops at some point, what do you think some of the most important lessons that they could take away are?
Well, I mean, I think one thing is obviously I think sports are really good. They're very close to life. I think, you have in a single football game, there's 140 plays, whatever, how many it is. Not every play goes your way. Not everything in life goes your way. So it kind of reflects, and they say, it builds character. No, it reveals it. I find out who you are. And then one thing I've learned since I've been here is, getting upset and letting it affect the next thing that goes on in life or in the game. They match. They'll go together. So like my biggest thing in our spring was that I took out of it was, hey, calm down, keep your head on you, because if we lose your brain, we're going to lose you the whole time. So if we lose the mind, it's over. So let's calm down, be ready to play the next play. You lost that one. I don't care. It happens. We're all going to make a mistake in life. We're going to make a mistake in a game. I'm going to make a mistake as a coach. Like, it's going to be all right. Play the next play. Focus on the next thing. And actually, that's one big thing that we talk about in our program is our one win motto. And it's literally the whole idea is whatever you're doing, win it. So if you're studying for a test, you win that test. If you're on the football field, you win that play. Whatever it is, just one specific thing at a time and get those victories one at a time kind of thing. So I think just learning how to deal with changes and sudden changes and getting beat or having a good play and having a bad play. We can't be here all the time. We got to be here. We got to be closer in our level-headedness. We can't get too excited about one play and then get really down on ourselves the next. So they're learning those different things in life. And one thing I always make sure that my guys know, and I think it helps in the long run, is but they know you care. They're going to be more willing to do anything for you. Like if they trust you and you can trust them, you're going to be fine. And that, so you build lifelong relationships that matter to them and to you. So I came in and not going to name specific people or anything, but there's been some family things that go on in their lives that have, it's not fair for an 18-year-old kid to go through, but they've had to go through it, and I've had to deal with it, and not deal with it necessarily, but I've had to counsel them, comfort them, all those different things. So, they learn that we do generally care about them, and I think they understand that, or we care about their well-being, not just football, it's all of it. So just the different life lessons that you get in the game is huge. Just being able to be level-headed and about thing, learn to get to that next thing, and really just understand that like we're building a relationship with you guys that's going to last forever. So after you walk across that stage, I still want to see you someday and be like, oh man, how's it going? Different things like that. And I think those are the big lessons that especially when I was a player, like when I knew my coach cared about us, and like, I'm not here just to coach you in football. I'm here to make you a better man. I took that specifically too when I was in high school, when I figured out he was doing that my senior year, like he just got there and he was building us to not just be football players, but to be better men. I was better in the classroom. I was better at football. I was better in how I acted, whatever. And I didn't act crazy or anything, but I could see the change and the growing up that like he did for me, and maybe not everybody took it that way, but I took it like it was gospel, so everything he was preaching, I was buying it. I was eating it up. And then, I had a really good senior year of how I did academically and all that stuff. So there's a lot of great lessons that come with sports, and, and it's a great thing to have, especially for these young adults that we have.
Yeah. And I just think it's funny